After 2 consecutive races out west, the Champ Car World Series is deep in the heart of Texas. We're in Houston at Reliant Park for round 3 of the 2007 season.
Drivers, start your engines.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens giving the command here. He'll be watching tonight on Sunday Night Baseball when the Red Sox and the Yankees square off. The score, meantime, at Champ Car 1-1. Will Power won the opener. Sebastian Bourdais won last week at Long Beach. And this well could be the rubber match between Power and Bourdais, who will start on the front row in the Champ Car Grand Prix of Houston. Second consecutive year Champ Car has come here to Reliant Park. Last year under the lights it was Bourdais the winner, part of a 4-straight streak with which he began 2006. Let's hear about the protagonists today. First to Cameron Steele.
Well, had Sebastian Bourdais' pole position stuck from Saturday, he would have tied Allenser Sr. with number of poles in his career. Unfortunately, Champ Car took it away after Team Australia complained that he was blocking Will Power. Will Power also dinged for blocking on Friday, but it is Will Power on the pole, and to say Sebastian was animated about it is putting it very lightly. He was equally as hot about this as he was getting together with Paul Tracy back in Denver last year. For more from Team Australia, let's check in with Bill Stevens.
Cameron, this sets up the newest rivalry in the Champ Car World Series. Will Power and Sebastian Bourdais. Who would have thought that Will Power, the soft-spoken Australian, would get inside the head of the 3-time champion, but it's happened. Both drivers are aware of each other, but the big question is today, when they race toward turn 1 side by side, will they be aware of each other? Let's go to Michelle Beisner.
Today's race is going to be extremely critical for both Mario Dominguez and Oriol Servia of Team Forsyth. Where they end up could very well determine who we see in that number 7 car for the rest of the year, as Paul Tracy states that he's ready to jump back in the number 3 come Portland. Back upstairs to you.
And welcome to Reliant Park. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan Beekes is alongside. It's been an interesting first couple of weeks of the Champ Car World Series season. Jan, Will Power is the guy who's really emerged as the challenger to Sebastian Bourdais.
Yes, you talk about a challenge and that tussle to get the pole position. It had very little to do with the championship point. It had everything to do with the fact that Will Power knows if he doesn't beat Sebastian Bourdais to the first corner, it could be over. Sebastian has been that dominant. Now Will Power has a shot.
Now this is a tough, short racetrack. Everybody's talking about how demanding it is. How tough will it be today?
I think it's going to be very difficult. Sebastian Bourdais says, it shouldn't be a problem. But Justin Wilson says, I don't know who Sebastian's trying to kid. It's going to be a tough day at the office.
And what about Graham Rahal? Starts in the 3rd row.
Well, he starts in the 3rd row, but he says, I have the fastest car next to Sebastian Bourdais. We'll see if he lives up to that promise.
As the field begins its pace laps here at this 1.7-mile layout, our starting lineup, 17 cars and drivers. Bourdais on pole in the McDonald's car number 1, actually outside row 1 after the penalty. Power takes the pole in the Aussie Vineyards car number 5. Second row here at Reliant Park. On the inside, Justin Wilson in the CDW 9. Neil Johnny, that is the Gulfstream Red Bull car number 21.
Oriol Servia certainly has something to live up to after a great performance in Long Beach with the 2nd, and we know that Graham Rahal thinks he's fast.
In the 4th row on the inside, Simone Pagenaud, last year's Atlantic champion in the Aussie Vineyards car. Tristan Gomendi, that's the pay-by-touch car number 22.
Mario Dominguez, you heard that he may be on the list for the drive, and Bruno Junqueira quick for Dale Coyne.
In the 6th row, Alex Tagliani in the LXN2 car. That's the 8 machine. Dan Clark in the Ticketmaster car number 4.
Robert Dornbos, quick in Vegas, got a 2nd as a rookie. He'll be wanting to move forward with Matt Halliday.
And in the 8th row, we've got Ryan Dial in the Ironclad car number 28. And his teammate for the weekend, Roberto Moreno, returns in relief of Alex Figge. That's the Imperial Capital Bank car number 29. Catherine Legg in the Sonny's Barbecue 11 for Dale Coyne by herself on car number 9. Onboards look like this. Matt Halliday will carry one of our onboard looks today in the 42 below car, but we'll start with Graham Rahal in the Medizone, car number 2 from the 3rd row. And young Mr. Rahal has a lot to show here this weekend. Justin Wilson has one of our onboard views as well. That's the CDW 9 car from the R Sports team. Wilson starting to come to form as well. And as we mentioned, Matt Halliday driving for the Conquest team of Eric Bachelard. That's the 42 below ride, and Halliday starts back in 14th.
It's going to be a case where you really want to get these tires warmed up. They want these cars packed up, get them around the final corner to give everyone a fair shot. They really got strung out at the start at Long Beach. They want people closer this time around.
Preparing for the start in Houston. green call there.
But Kenny Seawick, that was Kenny Seawick talking to Sebastian Bourdais, called it a yellow, and for a brief moment thought it was green. Let's get to Michelle.
All right, here with one of baseball's elite, Roger Clemens. Come on, level with me. Are you staying in tip-top shape, getting ready for the Major League?
I'm in top shape for driving go-karts right now. I mean, that's what I've been doing the last couple of days, and it's been a lot of fun. But to play Major League Baseball, I'm going to need a couple weeks yet to get going.
So what do you think? Are we going to see you in an Astros, a Red Sox, or a Yankees uniform?
Well, you're going to cut anything that I don't say right. I hear you're a Red Sox fan, so there's a lot of Red Sox fans and Yankee fans here today. I've noticed that, but I don't know what's going to happen. I know that I'm going to get myself ready, and then I'm going to, probably towards the end of May, I'm going to know what's going on.
All right, well, enjoy yourself today. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Back to you.
Guarantee of the Rocket will be watching tonight with interest when the Yankees and the Red Sox face off at Fenway. Our Champ Car Grand Prix Houston race analysis. We're a timed race, on an hour 45.
A timed race means it'll be 2 stops. You can do about 35, 36 laps on fuel. This one bit of yellow actually makes it that much easier. You don't have to save quite as much fuel.
And the clock has started. We mentioned it's about a 1.7-mile layout, 10 turns, and we expect, of course, the 2 stops here. So Power and Bourdais will get back together, and the second row includes the 9 of Wilson, the 21 of Neil Johnny, and we'll prepare for an official start, hopefully this time around. Tough racetrack. It's a little bumpier. They've smoothed it out in parts. Let's see what happens as Power leads them off the final corner. See if we get the green. Bourdais on the outside.
But Power's in perfect position. Oh, Sebastian shortcut the chicane.
Decided rather than try to run wheel to wheel or back off, he'd maybe drop back. Now he has to get that spot up.
If he does not want to incur a penalty, he has to let the yellow and green machine. Look at this.
Power's got a problem.
Yeah, I think Power's, that wasn't necessarily Justin Wilson. Something's wrong with Will Power.
Will Power, who is on the pole here, now he settles into third spot. We know Tony Kottman will be looking at this. He is the Champ Car race director. On board Wilson, the CDW 9.
Guys, I spoke to Will Power today just after he got to the racetrack. He was not brimming with confidence. He says there was a problem with that car last night, and they worked on it quite a bit. So when he went into the race today, he felt that there could be some issues with his machine.
Power had the advantage down into 1. He was the pole sitter. Bourdais jumped the chicane there to the inside of the curb mignon to get around him. On board Wilson here.
Just slow getting off the corner. And there was a case at Long Beach where Will Power could not get down into first gear on one of the restarts, and that's why it didn't pull well. Now, of course, we have heavy pressure by Justin Wilson in the CDW machine against Sebastian Bourdais. But again, Sebastian has not given up the spot yet. Sebastian certainly is going to get the call. He has to let and give up some time, which I would assume means he's going to have to let Wilson go by.
Scramble back for 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's Neil Johnny, Oriole Serbia, Graham Rahal back there, all packed up behind Will Power. And the Aussie Vineyards car number 5, who was the pole sitter, gave it up on turn 1. Now we understand Champ Car is reviewing the start and the potential jumping of spots, and we understand Bourdais being told.
They are telling him he has to get 1 position back. So Justin Wilson is going to get the free pass, and I'm sure that Will Power is thinking, that's my free pass to have, but for some reason he couldn't get off of turn 4. We'll assume that's because he was in 2nd gear.
He is 3rd, but he is slow.
Well, you guys...
And Wilson now taking that spot away from Bourdais, going down into the chicane again. So put Justin Wilson up atop the leaderboard in the CDW 9 car. This was right off the start.
Sebastian feels as though he's not going to be able to make the middle of that. Nice clean. There's a couple other cars. Bruno Junqueira, another one through the shortcut, and ultimately Sebastian Bourdais probably did the right thing. He was not going to beat Will Power. Will Power had the position in the corner, didn't want to run the risk of making contact, and really he's only given 1 spot. Now he has to chase down Justin Wilson.
And we understand from race control, Champ Car officials say the order is correct. So Wilson is the race leader in the CDW 9 car. That's the red and white machine. The McDonald's car, the yellow and red car of 3-time champion Bourdais right behind him, and Bourdais applying heavy pressure to Wilson here.
I expected it would be Will Power that would out-drag Sebastian Bourdais to the first corner, but Justin Wilson has really taken advantage of this.
But you guys, one thing I definitely want to point out is that Sebastian Bourdais started on sticker reds or brand new red tires, and Will Power definitely made a point about talking about that and how quick he thought Sebastian would be.
Well, tire choice is critical at a place like this, and Power on the reds to begin. The Bridgestone alternates, a little bit softer, generally a little quicker, but here the advantage hasn't seemed as definite as what we'll see later in the season yet.
No, but it's a case where this thing hasn't shaken out yet. It's going to be very interesting once everybody gets in the groove and we find out how that shakes out.
Guys, this is the second time that these racers have been on this particular tire. This is the same red that they ran in Las Vegas. They had a different red in Long Beach. Now they're back to that original alternate tire.
Not a great day early for Team Australia, the Aussie Vineyards cars. Power continues to run third. His teammate Simone Pagenaud's already been to pit road.
We just use the reds because we're used to saying it in case there are two different tire compounds that are used on a weekend. You are required to use the red sidewall Bridgestone sometime during the race. They traditionally are more grip, but they don't last quite as long. A lot of people like to start on them when the positions are that much easier to gain.
Wilson, your leader in the CDW car. The McDonald's machine of Bourdais second. There's Power in the Aussie Vineyards machine. He is third. Neil Johnny runs fourth. Best outing for the rookie pilot in the Red Bull Gulfstream entry. Cameron Steele.
Well, I'm down here with Derek Walker, and Simone Pagenaud came in with a punctured tire. But what happened with the whole thing with Will Power there at the beginning?
Well, it looked like Sebastian was just playing the game, tried to get by him, the chicane didn't make it, and you know, just bypassed the chicane. And then a little while later he brake checked him, so we lost another place with that. But hey, it's a long race, you know. Boys will be boys. We'll just keep on trucking. We've got a good car, so we're just going to be there at the end.
Derek Walker in his 392nd start, looking for a good result today. Brake checking the case he's calling.
When he says a brake check, that means he thinks Sebastian slammed on the brakes.
Now Will Power, the pole sitter, shuffled back to third. We'll see if he has anything for Wilson when we come back. ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car World Series, the Grand Prix of Houston, being brought to you today by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. And by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. Welcome back to Reliant Park in Houston with Jan Beekes. I'm Rick Winston, working on lap number 9, and your leader is Justin Wilson. Second to Sebastian Bourdais. Will Power is third. Well, we've got a few laps on the board. Now let's get a look at this place, Jan. A tight 10-turn layout. As we take a look down at Houston, right around Reliant Park, Reliant Stadium, and the Astrodome there.
The first thing you'll notice is it goes counterclockwise, so it's a different direction than we run before. They had to switch the fueling on the side of the car. Turn number 2 and 3, we've already seen that play out. They got through cleanly. That's where Sebastian Bourdais shortcut. Then the slowest corner on the racetrack, turn 4, you weave around to turn 6. Great place to pass. And then a little rhythm section, working back to the start-finish line again. Some high G-forces right in the 9 and 10 area.
And that is a look at Jaguar Speedway at Reliant Park in Houston. And if you want to take a lap on the edge with Matt Halliday as he roars around Reliant Park, check out champcar.ws, the official series website. On board here with Wilson, the race leader, the CDW9. Here's the 42 below, the Conquest car, Matt Halliday.
And Matt Halliday has a 3-race deal, so he is going to be pushing really hard this race to be sure that he stays on board for the season. His sponsor, 42 Below, relates to New Zealand because New Zealand is 42 degrees below the equator, and he has it all painted up with some New Zealand Maori tribe livery and everything, so he's definitely supporting his home country in New Zealand.
Well, Justin Wilson certainly the beneficiary of that second try at the start, and a little bit of controversy as they dove into turn 2. Now here's the battle for fourth. Here comes Serbia.
I think he's got him.
Oriel Serbia and the Forsyth Index 3 car outbreaks Johnny.
It looked to me at first as though he left it just a little bit too late, but Neil Johnny is acting. Yes, I think Neil Johnny has got some trouble because he let him through awfully easily, and we saw some brake lockup, so Johnny's struggling with that car.
Graham Rahal in the Metazone entry sees that, says, hey, I can pick up a spot here. Let's get going. starting to put heavy pressure on the 9 of Wilson. On board the CDW car. Fastest part to the racetrack, and here comes Bourdais.
Very surprised. I'm surprised that Bourdais is pushing this hard. Bourdais, I believe, feels he could save a little more fuel than Justin Wilson and could pass him on a pit stop, but it appears as though he wants to force the issue.
Under the Mazda bridge, Bourdais took the lead with a move over the curb. He cut the corner short, you'll recall, on lap 2. Had to give the spot up to Wilson. Power runs third.
And Will Power behind them. He's on the power to pass. He's on the Cosworth power to pass button right now. See how that gap has closed down? He must have had the call from the pits, taking that extra 50 horsepower. He's decided to use it early. So there is some reason why Will Power feels this is really important to close that gap and burn. You only get 60 seconds in the race. He's decided already he's down to 43.
That extra 50 horsepower can come in handy, especially late. And now it's time for the Mazda virtual pit stop today, where you try to make the right call from home or from your cell phone. Our question today: who can best handle the physical demands of Houston? Bourdais, Wilson, or Tagliani? Use your mobile phone. Use your text to vote for A, B, or C at 55333. Each entry costs 50 cents, and we'll check on the results for you a little later in our broadcast here from Houston.
And Justin Wilson is not only going to have to handle the physical demands, he has to handle the mental demands, because he's got the 3-time series champion putting serious pressure on him.
Wilson, 3 career wins in Champ Car. Won last year at Edmonton, his only victory on the season, and he's struggled. Talking to Bourdais, here it comes. And Bourdais takes the lead from Wilson. Wilson right back at it.
Oh, he's thinking about it. Oh, he went wide. But
Bourdais left him room there.
Not sure if he couldn't get it turned in or if he left him room, because they have a lot of respect for each other. Justin Wilson and Sebastian Bourdais, the final race of the year, they raced down to the last lap and ended up running into each other, but they really respect each other's driving. This is what we were concerned about. We may now see Sebastian, if we see a replay of him pulling off this move, he could disappear into sunset now. But it was a perfect overtaking maneuver, got perfect position. All Justin Wilson can do is let him have it. He gets a little bit of a draft. And Bourdais did this with no power to pass. Bourdais has not pressed the button once. He still has his 60 seconds.
So Wilson settles into second spot. Bourdais not bothered, evidently, by the tough conditions here at Houston. It's a very warm day, even though it is only April, of course. Pretty humid this afternoon, and air temperatures up in the middle 80s. So perhaps the toughest weather day these Champ Car World Series stars have faced so far. Wilson in the CDW ride, falling in now behind the 3-time series champ in his McDonald's machine.
It's so interesting to me, because when you talk to Sebastian, he said this week, well, I hope I did a great start, because there's no way you can pass at this racetrack. I'm not going to be able to get by anyone. He says, well, as a matter of fact, last year I actually passed 5 cars, so maybe you can. But when the time comes, he is really able to get it done. And they have found something on that car that no one else has found. Look at this view from Justin Wilson. He's just disappearing in the distance.
So Bourdais has already opened up about a 20-car length advantage with 14 laps complete here at Jag Flow Speedway. Now, before the start, we talked to Bourdais about the demands placed on a driver by a racetrack like this.
As far as you know, the physical side of things, it's a little rough, but I think the heat might be the biggest problem. So we'll see, but we'll just try and stay hydrated and be focused throughout the hour 45 minutes.
I don't think you have to worry about his focus at this point.
No. And he hinted to something there, and that is that it has a lot to do with the car. If you're not battling the car, if you're not trying to save the car all the time, it is much easier.
One of the 2 Ozjet entries, one of the Minardis on pit road. Dan Clark in for an early tire change. Gets the visor down after the 4 new Bridgestones go on.
Clear.
And here's why. Little too wide on the exit of that corner.
Collected part of the banner. and they will have telemetry on pit road telling you. Sometimes you can rub on a banner and pick it up, but they will know instantly whether the tire is losing pressure. They knew it was, so they called him in.
So the 4 car of Speedy Dan Clark back on the racetrack in the midst of the leaders. On board Rahal, getting finally past Neil Johnny. So put Rahal in the top 5 in the meta zone, car number 2. Passing Johnny there in the Gulfstream Red Bull entry from the PKV stables. And Johnny now fading back. How about Servia? He's up in 4th. Trying to chase down Will Power. That's the lap car now of Speedy Dan Clark in the middle of the Ticketmaster 4 car. On board again, Rahal.
Graham will now have an opportunity with clear track ahead of him to see what he can do. By listening to the engine, you can tell how his power down is. It sounds excellent at this point.
As we see Johnny in 5th position now. Michelle?
Hey, I'm here with Jimmy Vassar. Jimmy, you've got two rookies, which is unique, and they've both proven to be quick. What have you done to help them along?
I do what I can right now. Seems like Neil's falling back. I don't think anything major wrong with the car. It's probably something we can probably try to adjust out of it at the pit stop. You know, it's just a learning process. Every racetrack, everything's new for him, so just trying to help out what I can.
Jimmy Vassar, of course, the 96 Champ Car World Series champion, one of the owners of the PKV team. Graham Rahal moving up to 5th. Johnny getting dropped back to 6th there in that yellow and blue car. That's the PKV entry, the 21, the Red Bull Gulfstream car. Sebastian Bourdais, the 3-time series champion, won here a year ago, and he is your leader at Reliant Park, Janklow Speedway in Houston. When we come back, we'll find out about Neil Johnny, whether he's going to be able to get that car pointed in the right direction. Shocked and saddened by the tragedy that happened on the campus of Virginia Tech earlier this week, the Champ Car community observed a moment of silence before the start today. Most of the cars in the field carrying the Hokie logo, the VT, on the roll hoops and on the onboard camera pods today to salute the victims and their families of the Virginia Tech tragedy. For more information, log on to the official website, www.vt.edu. And we welcome you back. Welcome you back to Houston. Janklow Speedway at Reliant Park. Bourdais, the leader.
And what Kenny Seawick is saying, 48, is their code they use for fuel mileage, saying if he can reach that target number, he can do one more lap before he pits. So he has that right in the middle of his dash. He'll be driving to that number now that he has clear road.
As we watch the Telmex 7, one of the Forsyth cars, Mario Dominguez, coming to the end of his initial 3-race deal, hoping to extend that with the Forsyth team. He was on pole here a year ago in that very car, or the Lola that they ran a year ago. Mario 9th, and they've struggled a bit this weekend.
He says he's been struggling just to find overall grip. It wasn't necessarily that it was the front or the rear, but the whole car, especially across the bumps, just couldn't get bite. Now, funny enough, Alex Tagliani, who he chases, has had a similar problem.
Meantime, we check out on Robert Dornbos in the Muirman's Ozjet 14, one of the Minardi team cars. And Dornbos really expecting good things. He's on the move. He's up to 7th now. He has gotten by Tagliani there in the R Sports entry. The LXN2 car number 8.
Considering he started 13th, that is a nice move through the field on a place that does take aggressive driving to move through. And we know that he pushed his way towards the front in Las Vegas. Would love to do it here.
Dornbos up in 7th. Here's Tagliani. His only career win in the series came in 2004 at Road America, where will be later this summer driving for the R Sports team. It was then known as Rocket Sports.
LXN2 you see on the side of the car, that's just an abbreviation for Lexington Nitrogen. N2, of course, being the code for nitrogen, so they're shortening the logos. Let's get the camera.
Well, I've caught up with Paul Gianalozzi, the owner for Alex Tagliani, and you guys are struggling a little bit with the car right now, I hear you talking about?
Well, we're just trying to be careful. You know, the Reds are faster, but they do change the front to rear balance of the race car. So now we've got a little bit of a push. He's having to adapt to that, put a little more rear brake bias in it to get the car to rotate. And we're saving fuel.
Saving fuel. When do you think we're going to see you guys in for the first round of stops?
Well, if you don't save fuel early, you'll have to do 3 pit stops. Right now, we're trying to get that 1.75 miles per gallon to do it in 2 stops with no yellows.
We'll see if they can do it with no yellows, Jan. That's an interesting question.
They've had a little bit of yellow at the beginning, and I think that's a fairly conservative call. I think that it'll be a two-stop race for certain, but you don't want to have to get every last ounce of fuel on a pit stop. You want to give yourself a little bit of variance so you can do quicker pit stops and just make 2 quick ones instead of having to get every single last drop. He talked about brake bias. That is one of the things you can change in the car, how much braking to the front, to the rear. On a street circuit, it makes a huge difference as to how the car turns in.
Simone Pagenaud in car number 15 there, trucking along toward the back, 15th right now in the running order. We're at Reliant Park, right outside the Astrodome and the home of the Houston Texans, Reliant Stadium in Houston. We're at Jagflow Speedway for the 3rd race of the 2007 Champ Car World Series, Champ Car Grand Prix of Houston. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Bikas on pit road. Cameron Steele, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner for us all season long, and we're thrilled to have you with us here on ESPN. Race leader Sebastian Bourdais working on a 5.5-second lead, but there's great action deeper in the field. Pagenaud made a very early pit stop with a tire question. And they are trying to work him back up through the field. Chasing Matt Halliday there in the 42 below car for the Conquest team. Halliday shown 13th. Roberto Moreno right in front. Now his first drive in Champ Car in what, 4 years, Jan?
Yeah, man, 48 years old. He's doing a great job. He's keeping the car in one piece. He's pushing. He has young Simone Pagenaud breathing fire. I mean, Simone Pagenaud obviously is with Team Australia, and the Aussie Vineyards machine's been really quick, but he's been able to hold him off.
Pagenaud taking a look to the inside there of Moreno. Now, Moreno, of course, did all the testing before the teams got their hands on this new DP01 chassis. Alex Figge sitting out this weekend. He had a little bit of a tweak after a wreck at Long Beach, right, Michelle?
That's right, Alex. You're not driving due to some compression in your mid-spine. How disappointed are you to not be in that car this weekend?
Extremely disappointed for the obvious reason of not being able to drive, and also I feel like the first 2 races our pace was good and Ryan and I were running, you know, the same times, but I made some stupid mistakes in the races, so I was looking forward to using this as a chance to get back on the right track and at least have a smooth race.
We'll see you in Portland?
You will absolutely see me in Portland.
Great, thanks.
Well, Roberto Moreno on the lead lap. He's shown 14th right now in that Imperial Capital Bank, car number 29 for Pacific Coast. Hey, Talladega Superspeedway, always an NASCAR fan favorite, the home of bump drafting, 3-wide action, out of your seat racing. Defending winner Martin Truex Jr. looks to repeat as points leader Carl Edward tries to extend his dominant series points lead. It's the Aaron's 312, the NASCAR Busch Series at Talladega, Saturday on ABC Sports. Also available in high definition on ABC HD. Our coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. And for more information, log on to ESPN.com.
Riding with Matt Halliday there, he missed that apex of that corner badly in turn number 9. So he may have a problem. We'll go down to 2nd gear here. Oh, he does have a problem. Sure enough.
Now it's a real problem. Clouts the wall of the left front corner of the car, and the nose wing is under the 29 car being driven by Moreno. And that allows Pagenaud to get by.
Boy, Roberto's got to be careful here. We had 2 things happen simultaneously.
One more look.
So Matt Halliday is looking in the mirror. Tries. Okay.
That's what it was.
I thought he locked the rear brakes and got it sideways, but he had some help from Roberto Moreno, who shortcut the chicane with obvious damage. And they were both looking in the mirror, trying to give each other room, but eventually you've got to turn into the corner.
First full course caution of the day after the aborted start when we came to you earlier. One more look at what happened with Halliday. That was actually the wing from the nose of the 29 under the 29 car. When we come back, we'll assess the damage. Under caution at Jagflow Speedway, Reliant Park in Houston. If you want more Champ Car race action, check out Race Director at www.champcar.ws. 6 different camera angles, team radios, live telemetry available to you on your home computer. Alongside Jan Bikas, I'm Rick Benjamin. Field under caution after a tangle between Matt Halliday, Roberto Moreno going down into turn number 2. We were on board with Halliday. We thought it was Halliday's nose wing, and here come the leaders down pit road. Sebastian Bourdais, Justin Wilson. We see Oriol Servia heading down pit road. Graham Rahal, Neil Johnny. We're not quite to the opening of the first pit window.
And you know what to do. Right on the mark, Seb. Good stop here, guys.
Sebastian Bourdais is into the pits. Slight communication problem. The earpiece fell out of his ear, so he's having a problem talking to his team. Let's go to Cameron Steele.
Justin Wilson in. He was complaining of a push, and they put a front wing trying to make that adjustment for him, and he's gone.
And you can see some of the crew celebrating. There was some swapping of positions. Some people did not take fire. Look at Serbia has jumped ahead. That's a short fill. If you make that quick of a pit stop, you don't take on all the fuel right now. You try and get the track position. A couple of cars took advantage of that.
There's Catherine Legg back there in the Dale Coyne entry. The Sonny's Barbecue car number 11. Bourdais comes off pit road first. Serbia and Paul Tracy's Forsyth Index car number 3 will line up second.
You also heard from the McDonald's crew, Kenny Seawick, say brake bias. When you fill the car up with fuel, it changes the weight distribution, so they tell the driver then to change the brake bias so it's what it needs to be on a full tank of fuel.
As we're on board with young Mr. Ray Hall in the Metazone entry next Sunday on ESPN2, defending series champion Sam Hornish Jr. hopes to repeat last season's win at Kansas Speedway. It's the Kansas IndyCar 300 on ESPN2 next Sunday, 4:30 Eastern. More information at ESPN.com. Under caution, many teams have stopped. Bill, what did you see?
Well, down here, I noticed that they made a wing adjustment on the front of Sebastian Bourdais' car. Team leader Craig Hampson is doing some fuel calculations right now. And they also had a problem, as I mentioned, with communication because the earpiece fell out of Sebastian's helmet. But they have that corrected, and as you can see, they had an excellent pit stop in and out in about 10 seconds.
Well, yeah, they're working on lap 30. You thought 36 would be kind of the time frame for pit stops. So what does this mean?
It means that they'll have to save a little bit of fuel, but it also depends on how long this yellow is. Because for every lap of yellow, you gain a lap that you can go into green. In other words, you burn only about half, sometimes just a third when you run around behind the pace car as you do when you're up to full speed.
Kind of get a 2-for-1 discount on these caution laps in terms of fuel economy here. So Bourdais will be the restart leader.
He may be dropping back. If he tries to go behind you, just let him. Champ car is asking for him to go to the back of the pack.
They're talking about Tristan Gomendy there in the pay-by-touch 22. Champ car telling his team, the PKB team, he should be at the back of the lead lap cars. Back to Bill.
With Craig Hampson, with Sebastian Bourdais. You lost the pole, trouble in the first turn, you got the lead back. The pit stop looked great. Are things coming your way now, Craig?
Well, it's been an exciting day so far. Yeah, we definitely shortcut the chicane there on the start, so it was good to give a position back. We had a debris on the cow catcher there, and we needed to add front wing during the first pit stop, and the inside tire changer had a lot to do, but he got it all done, and we still had the lead, so pretty proud of the guys on that stop, and I think things are going pretty well so far.
The shot is Sebastian Bourdais continues to scamper.
Now, he called it a cow catcher, but there is actually
to drive through the pits on this lap, so he'll be coming off. You are the leader.
But just underneath the front of the car, behind the front wing, they have a device that is designed to catch debris so it doesn't get stuck underneath the car. They call it a cow catcher, but it did exactly what it's supposed to do.
Field getting ready for a restart here in Houston. Oriol Serbia will line up second. Bourdais' teammate, that's Graham Rahal, back there in third. Justin Wilson, Neil Johnny will be the top 5 after Gomendy does the drive-through. J.D. Wilbur on the flag stand shows the field the 1-to-go signal as they cross start finish. Well, earlier, the Champ Car Atlantic Championship ran their 3rd race of the 2007 season. It was earlier today. It's our Mazda's in motion look back. Rafael Matos in the Sierra car number 6 has been the dominant player. He jumped to the early lead from the pole. Watch this. Ryan Lewis in that green and yellow Team Walker car over Richard Highstand's machine. Pretty much ended his day. Matos the dominant player. 18-year-old American Carl Skirlong gave chase, but Skirlong brushed the wall with his right rear tire and pretty much ended his bid to chase down Matos. Rafael Matos has won 3 consecutive races to start the Champ Car Atlantic Championship this year. First time that's been done since 1990. If you want to watch this week's Champ Car Atlantic Championship, the Fast Track 100, catch ESPN2 Thursday, April 26th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Cooper Tires presents the Champ Car Atlantic Championship powered by Mazda. All the indications are we will see a restart this time by. Now, Serbia, you said, took a short fill.
Let's find out. Neil Mickelwright.
Well, they're speculating that you guys did a short fill. Were you able to get a full load of fuel there?
Almost. We did do a short fill, but we're only talking about maybe a gallon.
So strategy playing once again this week?
Well, we're just trying to get a little bit better position. We don't have room to do much of a short fill because it would just screw up the rest of the day, but we're close.
We'll see how it works out for Oriole Serbia.
Top of your screen, you see our Bridgestone running order. Also the time remaining in this 1 hour 45 timed event today. Working lap 32, ready for a restart.
Green flags up, green, green, green.
Remember, Serbia might be lighter, so he could be racing here.
He also has a full minute of Cosworth power to pass on tap. Single file. A little further back, there's Neil Johnny in the Gulfstream Red Bull car. There's Dornbos in the Ozjet entry. Now he's up to 7th in that 14 car. Johnny is 5th. Will Power, the pole sitter, back to 6th in the Aussie Vineyards car number 5.
The tricky part is if you didn't get all the fuel, and as Neil Mickelwright said, and I'm not sure when he says, well, we got most of it, but maybe not a gallon or two, sometimes they're going to play that a little cagey because that was a quick enough stop to where they probably took actually less fuel than that. Do you now go for it thinking there'll be more yellow and just go ahead and burn the fuel? And boy, Neil Johnny is really fighting this car now.
Almost caused one right there as he came off that corner.
But if you have more yellow, you want to take your light car and you want to stand on it. But if you think there's not going to be more yellow, you have to save fuel if you didn't take as much on during the stop.
Well, the track has been changed a bit from 1 year ago. One of the most difficult parts of the course was the chicane that was added during the race weekend. That's gone now. In its place is this complex you're about to see Justin Wilson take the CDW car through. So one opportunity for some incidents may have gone away, but I think we'll see some more cautions. We had a bunch of them a year ago.
Very interesting when we ride with Justin. There's a move. That was Johnny.
Will Power, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny dropped another spot. He has really been struggling with that car.
Power back up to 5th now. The pole sitter starting to make some gains. Bourdais is a 2nd to the good over Serbia. Ray Hall in the Metazone car, 3rd position, 2 seconds back. Before the start, we had a chance to visit with the youngster, the 18-year-old, about the challenge of street racing here.
I mean, it's very difficult to get up to speed on the street courses. It's definitely a steep learning curve, but I think we're finally getting there. We've been very competitive this weekend, and hopefully the race will go well.
He was kind of talking some trash earlier this weekend, Jan.
Well, I don't know if it was trash. He was just saying he was fast. He was saying, I've got the 2nd fastest car, and I should be up there, and I got blocked in qualifying. Everybody got blocked in qualifying, but that is part of what you do. You get yourself psyched up, and it's like it's your race to lose, and everyone else is just in your way. Sure. So it's part of the motivation as a driver is you're just saying, if they would just get out of my way, I'd have the 2nd fastest car.
Justin Wilson, meantime, with his hands full. This is for 4th. Will Power back there in the Aussie Vineyards car number 5. Let's get on board the CDW 9.
Be interesting to find out if they change Will Power's car because he looks much more racy now. Here he comes.
Diving into 6. Wilson able to stay in front. This battle is for 4th. Will Power, the pole sitter, gave it up at the very start. Great view from the racetrack here at Jagflow Speedway at Reliant Park.
You just watch the rear suspension work. These cars are very stiffly sprung, but those still get a lot of suspension movement.
Brand new race car, of course, the DP01 chassis new to all these teams this year. You can follow all the exciting Champ Car World Series action all season long with Champ Car Mobile, brand new this year. Go to www.champcar.ws to download a live leaderboard, wallpapers, ringtones as well. Your mobile phone. Standard data rates do apply. Howard took a look on the outside there.
But I also think that Justin's saving a little bit of fuel. You can hear at the very end of the straightaway there when he backed off. If you hear that sort of momentary coast, if you want to call it, that's one of the most effective ways to save fuel.
Kind of let it float into the corner rather than slam the brakes.
Exactly. It's just before you get on the brakes.
I was just talking to Derek Walker, guys, and he said that Will Power isn't necessarily going faster than everyone else, although it looks like he's catching Justin quite a bit. It's just that everybody else is dropping down just a tick, and probably what you're talking about, conserving fuel.
So, Cameron, they didn't make many changes. They just think everyone's backing up to them.
That's what they're talking about. They say the car is the same, and I asked them Wilson, because earlier they were worried about when Will was on the alternate tire, they worried he was going to abuse that front right with a mass amount of right turns here. And actually there was no problem. They came out, looked at the Bridgestones. They were very happy with it. There were no orders early, no orders now. They just think that they're getting a little bit more out of the car right now.
Because it was Will Power who was one of the few drivers that was just wearing out the right front, and they had to change the car. That's great for qualifying. That's not so good for the race.
And this is a rare road course, and it's run like an oval counterclockwise. So you've got an awful lot of left-hand corners here. So the right side of the car will be loaded quite a bit more than what we would normally see at a typical road course. Meantime, as we watch, we check in the 42 below pits. The Conquest team working on that car. Matt Halliday. Michelle?
Here with Eric Batchelor. And Eric, tell me what's going on with the car situation right now.
Well, it seemed that Roberto Moreno tried to pass our driver, and basically he touched him and sent him in a wall. It's a shame because Moreno is an old guy. He should know better than this, you know. And but we're fixing the suspension, and we're going to try to go out again, try to finish our first race of the season because we had some bad luck so far. So.
Thanks a lot.
Funny to hear Eric say, well, because he raced with Roberto.
Sure.
Yeah, so he would know.
Good classmates, you might say. Roberto Moreno at age 48, getting his first Champ Car start in 4 seasons. Justin Wilson is fourth. We'll see if he can move up when we come back. It has been a street fight so far here at Reliant Park in Houston, Texas. Jagflow Speedway with Jan Bikas, Ivory Kurtzman, the Champ Car World Series back in the streets of Houston, working lap number 41. Less than an hour of racing to go. We've had a great battle up front. Right now, Sebastian Bourdais has less than a second lead. Simon Pagenaud in his third start in his rookie season after winning the Atlantic Championship a year ago. 12th at the season opener in Las Vegas. Jan, he's solidly in the top 10 after cutting a tire early and having to make an unscheduled stop.
He's made 2 pit stops, but interestingly, he did not stay out. He decided to pit with everyone else. So he is back on the same sequence. So it's a case now, as we look at what's left for some of the drivers on the power to pass, that he is in the sequence. He's 8th. So thankfully, that yellow really helped him. He lost some track position, but now he's back on sequence.
16th, back on lap 14 after making that early stop, worked his way back up to 8th. And if you're not familiar with Cosworth Power to Pass, there's an extra 50 horsepower on tap, usually for 60 seconds. Available in 10-second bursts. There's a steering wheel button that these drivers can activate, get that extra kick. Some drivers use it defensively. Let's check in one of the Forsyth cars. That's the Telmex 7 of Mario Dominguez. Back in 10th, kind of struggling here. Not bad, but not a stellar day either.
No, there's still some race to get the car tuned in. Again, we've talked about how he's been struggling with overall grip. Now, he has had to raise the sponsorship to get in that car, but he's also got his own money in the deal. So you have someone trying to drive and save his drive, but he's also spending his own money as well as his Mexican sponsors to try and stay in this car.
Telmex on the 7 car. Bruno Junqueira, there you see his statistics as we watch the 7 of Dominguez. In 10th position here, had his only Champ Car pole here 1 year ago in the Forsyth 7. Now there's the Sonny's Barbecue car, the Dale Point entry of Bruno Junqueira. Used to drive that 2 car for the Newman Haas team, now Newman Haas Lanigan. And Bruno back in 9th position, 1 spot in front of Dominguez at this point.
He's been really pleased with this car at the first couple of races, but they have had a challenge. They have not really found what they're looking for. And everyone, when they're trying to find, of course, it's a spec series now where everyone has the same material to work with. But how you do the springs and the shock, this is a great example. Watch how much suspension movement across the bumps, and imagine if you have an infinite choice of spring and shock absorber, downforce levels, things like that. If you hit it right on, it just makes a huge difference on how fast the car is.
The view out the back of Justin Wilson's CDW car number 9. He continues to run 4th in front of Will Power. Hey, let's check in on today's Mazda Virtual Pit Stop, where you, our viewers, try to make the right call. Our question today: which of these 3 drivers could best handle the physical demands of this layout at Houston? Sebastian Bourdais, Justin Wilson, or Alex Tagliani? Each text entry costs 50 cents to vote. Text A, B, or C to 55333. It's available on most cell carriers. We'll check in on the results a little later in our broadcast from Houston. So Wilson in 4th. Now, he had the lead earlier. They have struggled to find pace this season in the early going. They had a 4th last week, and they're starting to figure it out. Different engineer for Wilson this year, and they're starting to put the combination together at our sports. Leader is Sebastian Bourdais. Won here a year ago, won last week at Long Beach. His third straight win there. But pit strategy has put the Forsyth Index 3 of Oriol Servia, driving in relief of the injured Paul Tracy, up into second spot. In Servia, 1.5 seconds behind Bourdais, trying to chop into that lead. This is how they finished a week ago at Long Beach. Michelle, what's the view down there from the Forsyth team?
Well, I'm with Jerry Forsyth right now. Jerry, I've got a question for you. Who do you expect that we'll see in that number 7 car in Portland?
Well, at this time, we haven't made a decision who we're going to run in the car. We may have to run 3 cars. Because I made a commitment to Oriol that I would run him the rest of the season if he won the race today.
That's not a bad commitment to make.
Pardon?
That's not a bad commitment to make to him.
I give him some incentive, I'm sure.
All right, thanks a lot, Jerry.
Oriol Servia, one of the fan favorites in this sport, one of the great guys along pit road and in the paddock, and he is second right now. Stepped into that car last weekend after PT cracked the wall at Long Beach and had to sit out for a period.
Yeah, certainly a shame that Paul Tracy is not here, but if there's anyone who has carried his flag well, as a guy who has the potential to chase down Sebastian Bourdais, it would be Oriol Servia.
Graham Rahal rides third in the Metazone car number 2, Bourdais' teammate. Looked like Neil Johnny perhaps there off the pace on the outside.
Sorry, Rick, in that we see Oriol now pushing. It's almost like he heard the interview saying, well, now Jerry Forsyth has actually said it on national TV, that if I can win this race, I got this ride for the season. He's starting to push harder. But I worked the numbers during the break and looked at the pit stop times. I think Neil Mickelwright was telling us the truth. He was actually on pit road long enough to where I think he got most of the fuel. And so he's not going to be that far out of sequence.
So a little bit of a gamble on the part of the 3 team to see if the cautions fall correctly. Well, here's Wilson in the CDW car number 9. Now, he's Alex Tagliani's teammate this season. They call it R Sports. Wilson led early, but he settles into 4th position right now and losing a little bit of ground to Sebastian.
Watching behind to see how much pressure he still has from power.
Consider Will Power back there in that yellow and green Aussie Vineyards car.
Now he is leading the pole as far as who can handle the heat and the bumps here. Justin Wilson is.
Trouble again for Roberto Moreno. That's the Imperial Capital Bank 29, one of the Pacific Coast entries. Moreno has spun. He's out of harm's way, it does appear, just past the Mazda Bridge.
But he's raised his visor, so if you've spun the car around, it means that you have stalled it. They have the light on the back that tells you if it's stalled. In this case, we'll see what happened to him on the approach.
Full course yellow.
Ah, yes. That is the old on the brakes with a little too much rear bias at the very same time that you hit a bump while you're turning. And unfortunately, that is what happened.
A fistful of steering wheel, but it didn't help much. Full course yellow for the 2nd time this afternoon here at JAGFlow Speedway at Reliant Park in Houston. Champ Car World Series on ESPN.
Just about everybody's familiar with the great career of Roberto Moreno. I had a chance to meet him face-to-face yesterday. Very upbeat and delightful guy. Very excited about being out there. And I guess his exuberance was showing yesterday during qualifying when he went 1 lap too many and had his fastest lap taken away.
Now that will happen in these cases. Now 47 laps complete. When we come back, we'll find out who among the leaders or the cars who would like to be in the lead group might decide to come to pit road. Welcome back to Houston. Several cars on pit road at JAGFlow Speedway. Alex Tagliani among those cars in that LXN2 entry. Catherine Legg had stopped. Ryan Dial had come in the ironclad car. 28.
If you're running near the rear and you have a caution, you just always pit. It's just normal procedure, but there's no way the leaders would do it at this point.
Well, Jan, actually, I got a little bit of an update as well on Alex Tagliani. They're having a problem with their fueling rig itself, and they are trying to make sure they got a full load this time. You saw them, instead of using lights or another device to make sure that it's full, they had someone monitoring the fueling rig and tap the fueler on the back when they got the full load.
Oriol Servia will restart second. He among the leaders who stayed out on the racetrack, as did Graham Rahal in the Metazone car number 2. Now, Rahal's 18 years old, not even graduated from high school yet, He had an opportunity to kind of take a different sort of science class Thursday in Houston. He visited the Johnson Space Center to train.
And then we also have centered up over the payload bank.
Rahal got a chance to operate the shuttle's mechanical arm simulator to try to capture a mock Hubble Space Telescope.
It's interesting flying the arm. I mean, it's quite a bit different than anything I'm used to because you use two hand controls, and it's pretty cool looking out and seeing, you know, like the Hubble and all the different things of space that we can't normally see. It's pretty cool.
Now, as you may know, the day after Graham Rahal visited the Johnson Space Center, a NASA contract worker shot a hostage and then killed himself in that building, according to police. NASA authorities are reviewing NASA's security procedures that checks for guns and other weapons. Preparing for a restart here at JAGFlow Speedway, Reliant Park in Houston. Third race of the 2007 Champ Car World Series season. Will Power is the championship leader after 2 races. He'll restart 5th. Sonny's barbecue car, Bruno Junqueira, moving past. There's Dominguez. The 42 below car, Matt Halliday, that's been repaired now. They had to spend a lot of time on pit road. Halliday went 15 laps down.
But it's a case where they can still learn about the car. They can still get some exposure for the sponsors. And again, if he wants to try and somehow keep this going for the rest of the year, you want to be out there running.
Absolutely. We are in Houston, Texas, third race of the season with Jan Bikas, Iberick Benjamin, bringing you coverage of the Champ Car World Series. Cameron Steele, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner on pit road for us today. Sebastian Bourdais has been dominant here. Took him a while to get the lead. Will Power was the pole sitter. He had a problem. Justin Wilson got the drop on the field at the restart. Actually, one lap was on the board. The clock had started. Bourdais had to give a position up, but then he was able to track Wilson down, take the lead, and Bourdais has been dominant. Oriol Servia used pit strategy to climb to second. Will not be a start this time. The call coming out on the radios to the teams on the racetrack and the drivers in the seats.
Michael Cannon speaking to Robert Dornbos.
J.D. Wilbur holds the yellows. And the lights stay on the Mazda safety car. Gail Truist driving the car here this weekend. Hey, Talladega Superspeedway, always a NASCAR fan favorite. It's the home of bump drafting, 3-wide racing, and out-of-your-seat action. The defending race winner there is Martin Truex Jr. He wants to repeat next week. Points leader Carl Everett wants to extend his dominant series points lead. It's the Aaron's 312, the NASCAR Busch Series at Talladega next Saturday on ABC. Also available at high def on ABC HD. Our coverage at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. And for more, log on to ESPN.com. Robert Dornbos marching up through the field, 7th in the Ozjet car. Let's get more from his pit.
Hey, I'm here with Robert Dornbos, who travels with him all year long as he makes the transition from Formula One into Champ Car. Tell me what you did for this race in particular.
We went to Las Vegas. Heat was going to be a big issue for this race. Also, it's very, very bumpy. So the main focus was heat tolerance. So we're doing like 10-mile runs in the desert with race suits on. That was kind of quite fatiguing, also limiting fluids, and also spent a lot of time on stability control, the spine and pelvis, to try and keep the pathways open to make decisions on a very, very bumpy kind of surface.
All right.
10-mile
run. Upstairs.
10-mile run in the desert sounds like the Jan Bikas training program.
Yeah, you know, I used to do that in the old, not in the desert, but up in the hills of California. That's one of the things. It's very difficult to simulate the heat and a workout in a race car. And sometimes I think running in the desert in the fire suit would be classified as extreme training.
Kind of answers the old question about, is a race driver really an athlete? There is no question. You spend some time around these guys and you know they are world-class athletes. No question about it here in the Champ Car World Series. Preparing for a restart, lights out on the safety car. Bourdais leads him to green. Graham Rahal restarting from third.
Now he's staying with Servia, but Servia couldn't stay with Bourdais.
Hey guys, keep an eye on Graham Rahal's car. He was communicating with his team not long ago. He had a problem with the power to pass. When he pushed it, the car was actually decreasing speed to the pit speed, and he almost gathered it up with Oriol Servia. So if he hits that button right now, it's a question as to whether or not he's going to go faster or slower.
It is a problem that cropped up at the last last race in Long Beach, it's an intermittent type of thing that when you hit the power to pass, looks like Dornbos picked up a spot there.
Sure does. The two Team Australia cars, the Aussie Vineyards entries of Pagenaud and Power nose to tail, and Power's got an issue. Will Power may have a tire down.
No, front wing.
Front wing is off.
Front wing's gone. He's made contact.
And a car goes around, wraps some debris, and we see Catherine Lake getting by Alex Tagliani. The LXN2 entry has spun. He gets it, keeps it running, and will pull through one of the runoff areas. He's got to watch it here. Very tight confines in Houston. Tag back underway.
You wonder if a piece may have come off of Will Power's car that caused problem behind. He'll now get a new nose cone.
Bill Stevens.
Will Power is into the pits. They're going to put on a fresh set of scrubbed Bridgestone tires. Watch the fuel man. Watch how he has to delay until all the fuel goes into the car. Usually, the tires and the fuel should pretty much end at the same time the fuel is out, but look at the tires are still not mounted on the car yet. This was a lengthy pit stop for Will Power.
My guess is that Justin Wilson might have had some debris.
Just leaving the pit behind you.
It would not be a time typically that Justin would pit, so one would just assume that there was the debris or a brush to the wall. We'll have to find out for certain.
So Power in the Aussie Vineyards car, Wilson in the CDW machine, both back on the racetrack now from Justin Wilson's onboard.
Aha! Okay, the contact, there you go. We saw obviously the broken front wing for Will Power, and he broke it on the rear tire of Justin Wilson. That will puncture it, and this is prior to that. Okay, so we saw Bruno Junqueira be aggressively moving through, and Alex Tagliani appears to have just spun while racing in a group of cars.
I think Power's car already had the damage on it. Here's another look.
Big wiggle for Mario Dominguez, and then just a appears to be spin on your own. And fantastic avoidance by Catherine Legge getting through, and behind there's Justin Wilson with a tire going down.
No caution.
And through all this, they stay green.
But Justin Wilson really has his chances today. Take a hit. He is back to 13th after having to make that unscheduled stop. He is on the lead lap, but 13th for Justin Wilson in the CDW entry. So let's reset the top of the field for you. Running order top of your screen. Bourdais is the leader. Servia and Rahal top three. Neil Johnny now back to fourth. Robert Dornbos is up to fifth. So another good one for Dornbos in the Ozjet entry, the 14 car for the Minardi team.
Well, he had made his move just in the nick of time because he had just moved past one of the Aussie Vineyards cars, and then all heck broke loose behind. So that was just excellent timing for Robert. Maybe that running in the desert in the fire suit paid off.
Around that sweeper, turn 5 here at Reliant Park. Hey, if you'd like more Champ Car Race action, subscribe to Race Director, www.champcar.ws, the official series website. Choose from 6 different camera angles. You listen to team radios and check out live telemetry. It's all available on your home computer at the official website, champcar.ws. Battle starting to shape up here for second. Pressure being applied by Rahal in the Metazone car. Up in front is Servia, the runner-up in the Forsyth Index machine. When we come back, we'll see if the 18-year-old Rahal can take second spot. We are back in Houston with our ESPN race recap. On the start, Will Power in the green car, Sebastian Bourdais in the red machine. Side by side down into the second corner. Sebastian Bourdais ran out of racetrack, shortcut the corner there, and had to give the position back. He lets Justin Wilson take the lead. But it was only about 10 laps later. In fact, lap 14, Bourdais made the passing move.
And an aggressive move. Nothing Justin Wilson could do at that point.
He has had several incidents of contact. This one between Matt Halliday and Roberto Moreno driving in relief of Alex Figge today in the 29. Halliday spent 15 laps on pit road. Moreno got into some trouble later on. His first Champ Car start in 4 seasons. And he managed to keep the Pacific Coast car off the wall. 58 laps are complete. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader. Servia second. Let's check in on Justin Wilson. The CDW car off of turn 4 to the sweeper. Remember, Wilson had a problem. He had some contact with Will Power a few moments ago. They're back 13th and 14th.
Take good mileage and hope for yellow.
Michael Talbot, his race engineer, we talked about that earlier. He's been with the team, but it's his first assignment as race engineer, and they were so excited because he and Justin are now clicking. They've got the right balance on the car. But what are you going to do if you get a puncture and you have to pit out a sequence? It's just, that's how it goes sometimes.
This is a short road course. It's a temporary circuit. And you do have contact, unavoidable contact sometimes. Justin Wilson back there in 13th spot, but Graham Rahal up in third in the Metazone 2 car. And he is 9/10 of a second behind Oriol Servia, who runs second behind race leader Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, Graham Rahal may have made the right decision. He had his senior prom this weekend, but he opted to be racing instead of dancing. And for his girlfriend, he flew her down here so that she could enjoy this. You never know. He could end up on the podium this weekend, and that might be time for celebration.
Now the 5-time winner last season in the Champ Car Atlantic Championship, Graham Rahal, making nice progress in his rookie Champ Car season, driving for Newman Haas Lanigan.
I was just talking with John Tazanikis, who's on the radio with Graham Rahal, and he told him, go ahead and go and see if you can get up to, not only get on the back of Oriol Servia, but if you can make the pass. If indeed you cannot, then we'd like you to lay back and conserve fuel.
Interesting, because not only are they telling Graham Rahal that, but on the radio, they're telling Servia, go ahead and use some more fuel. See if you can put pressure on Sebastian Bourdais. Again, he's carrying and driving Paul Tracy's car, and it may be the fantastic news is, if you haven't heard, that Paul Tracy, who thought he might be out 2 or 3 months, feels as though he's going to be back in the saddle in this number 3 machine in Portland the next race. So it's important for Oriol to try and set the stage here and take some points away from Sebastian.
You heard team owner Jerry Forsyth tell Michelle earlier that he might have to field 3 cars come Portland in the month of June when the series resumes, June the 10th, Sunday afternoon, and we'll be there for the coverage for you. Oriol Servia right now a second, 0.4 behind the race leader Sebastian Bourdais. So he's fallen back just a little bit. Now, interestingly, we've talked about Cosworth power to pass, the 50 extra horsepower that you have on tap there. None of the top 3 cars have used any to speak of. Bourdais and Rahal haven't even gone to the button yet, and Servia shown just 1 second, which wouldn't be a full burst at all.
That's when you have confidence. You use the button when you're struggling. That's Neil Mickelwright talking to Oriol Servia. Push, push. They're telling him to use more fuel to try and pressure Sebastian. I'm not sure he has the kind of speed to pass him, but if you get right up behind Sebastian, maybe you'll luck into some type of small mistake, which normally you'd say never happens, but we now know after Las Vegas that Sebastian can make an occasional mistake.
That was the one for the decade, maybe, but it does happen at times. Oriol Servia with a lot on his shoulders. Didn't have a full-time ride in the Champ Car World Series coming into the season. Now he's driving the 3. We talked to him about what it takes to win here.
I take it more like 10 days ago. I didn't have a job. Now I have one of the best cars on the grid, so I'm just really happy, enjoying my opportunity and having a blast.
He is enjoying this ride in second in the Forsyth Index car number 3. Great opportunity for Oriol Servia, who proved his worth as a super sub really 2 seasons ago for the then Newman Haas team when he drove the 2 car.
Yes, and of course with very limited driving, he did just an awesome job in Long Beach. Yes, he took advantage of some pit strategy, but he said afterwards, well, I know that Paul was watching. He was kind of disappointed because he would have made a run at Sebastian on the restart. We know that Paul is watching today, and he'll be rooting Oriol on.
Meantime, the Aussie Vineyards car of Simon Pagenaud on pit road. Pagenaud getting fuel.
Get ready. Get ready. Go, go, go. Clear outside. Clear outside.
4 new Bridgestone black sidewall standard tires on that race car for Pagenaud.
And that is a bit odd because he should have been on the same sequence. He pitted last time when the leaders did.
Run hard.
And they're telling him to run hard, but my guess is you wouldn't have to pit now unless you didn't get all the fuel last time.
Bruno Junqueira spins the Sonny's barbecue car in one of the runoff areas. He keeps it running. Good move by Bruno to keep that car fired up. And Junqueira, who was shown 6th at the time, loses a lot of track position. Tough break indeed. Hey, next Sunday on ESPN2, the defending series champ Sam Hornish Jr. looks to repeat his win last year at Kansas Speedway. It's the Kansas IndyCar 300 on ESPN2. Sunday at 4:30 Eastern next week. More information at ESPN.com. In Houston, I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes, Cameron Steele, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner on pit road. On board here with Justin Wilson in the CDW car, 14th after that contact earlier with Will Power. Power has gotten by him, so Power is 13th, starting to run a little bit better. And Sebastian Bourdais starting to close in on Wilson to put him perhaps a lap down.
And Justin will fight hard. Justin, if Sebastian gets right up behind him, he'll be obligated to let him go by because he's a lapped car. But at this time, if he's ever going to push, Justin Wilson needs to keep about this gap to keep from going that lap down. In case he hit a caution, then he can come around and all things will be good.
And let's take a look at what the situation might be here as the clock winds down. We're on lap 65 of this timed event, an hour 45, 32 minutes and a half, let's say, to go. Maybe 30 laps of racing left here. If you're back in the field, would you stop now?
You would only stop if you get to the point where you're certain you wouldn't have to stop again. But yes, we're closing in on that timeline.
So we may see some drivers like Justin Wilson decide to roll the dice, make a green flag stop early, and try to go to the end.
But the one person who doesn't absolutely want to stop is Wilson, because he can't let Sebastian get by. So as much fuel as he has, as hard as he can drive, yes, some other people might duck in, but Wilson is one who just somehow has to keep Sebastian behind and hope for a yellow.
He'd be vulnerable at this point. Now, we take a look at the top 10, some drivers we haven't seen in a while as we watch the Red Bull PKV entry, the Gulfstream car of Neil Johnny. Johnny has qualified fourth this weekend. He runs fourth now. He's been up and down in the standings a couple of times, but he's in clean air right now. Fourth in front of Robert Dornbos by about 1.7 seconds. Mario Dominguez has advanced to sixth with the spins we've seen. Bruno Junqueira, of course, spinning just a moment ago. Tristan Gomendy, Johnny's teammate, is up into seventh. Ryan Dial, his best outing of the season, up into eighth for Pacific Coast in that ironclad car. And Catherine Legg has worked her way up to ninth in the Sonny's Barbecue car for Dale Coyne.
Interesting that a guy like Johnny and some of these others were really struggling with the cars not that many laps ago, and they've settled down. Yeah. So I believe the track is starting to rubber in, which helps all the cars, and those that were kind of on the edge seem like they've got renewed speed.
Well, one of the other things, I think it's early in the season. These are rookies. There was not a lot of testing allowed with these new cars, so wouldn't it be a matter of extra seat time for some of these guys?
When you saw the way, and here's the answer, is that Johnny was light on fuel, which is why he was doing those kind of laps, and has to pop in and get some more.
Oriol Servia is into the pits. His team manager, Neil Mickelwright, kept cautioning him, watch your pit speed, watch your pit speed. From one set of primary tires to another set of scuffed Bridgestones. The fuel's still going in, and he's away with his final scheduled pit stop. No! Almost contacted with his teammate, Mario Dominguez.
And you know, you could see the look on Jerry Forsythe's face when he looked over saying, what are we doing having Mario come in at the same time we're trying to have Oriol leave? Unfortunately, that was just very, very poor timing. I guess if they're both out of fuel, you don't have any choice. But as usually as a two-car team, that's the one thing you try to avoid like the plague.
Now, this is probably the last stint to the checkered flag for Dominguez and for Serbia, and they put reds, the Bridgestone alternates, on the Telmex car number 7. We'll take another look at what happened on pit road, the two Forsythe Championship Racing entries.
Now, part of it is that the fuel took a lot longer. You heard Bill Stevens say, and they've told Oriol to wait. Of course, it's a case where I'm sure they were telling Mario Dominguez to go slow down pit road, but Rahal now is getting his fuel.
I can tell you, Jan, I saw one full turn wing going in there for Graham Rahal. They're reporting Sebastian Bourdais is also coming in for the team, and he will also be getting an adjustment to the wing. We'll see if that indeed does happen.
Tangle on the racetrack meantime. Pole sitter Will Power has taken the nose wing off the 5 again, and then he slides it into the tires.
Oops.
Will Power. A little bit of red mist there, perhaps. I'm done. And a tangle deal. Johnny gets tagged by Catherine Legg. Now, this is at the Turn 2 complex, the chicane, just past the end of pit road, and Legg stuffs the Dale Coyne car into the wall.
Now, this is great news for those who just pitted, because now Bourdais is going to pit. Oh, he got in before they closed the pit.
What
Cameron?
a break.
Well, I'm here in the Bourdais pit. They get a lucky break, and of course they talked about putting a little bit more wing in the front of the car. We're going to look, and indeed they do. Turn in some wing.
11.9 seconds. That was a quick stop, but
Neil Johnny was 4th. when he had the incident with the Gulfstream Red Bull car, and he said he was done on the radio. He has unbuckled and has climbed out of car number 21. So, Johnny, we go full course yellow, obviously. The Dale Coyne car, there's the Sonny's machine of Catherine Legg into the outside wall. Perhaps they got together, but it didn't look that way. It looked as though Catherine may just have gotten in some debris or something and went across the curbing into the outside wall. We've got a better look at it for you. We're going to take you back. It's been a wild last 30 seconds. Now, here's Power alongside one of the Forsyth cars. That's Dominguez. He locked the brakes, and Power was caught out.
Yes, Mario went to make a move and couldn't stop. Mario keeps it running, and then when he tried to spin it back around. Now, here's Catherine Legg. That's flat. Catherine Legg tried to get the position from Johnny, but didn't have it, tripped him up. And so Catherine Legg, unfortunately, did not have the position to try and get that move done.
And there was some contact there, I believe, from Simone Pagenaud. Looked like he might have tagged the back end of Legg's car. Justin Wilson, meantime, the 42 below entry in front of him. That's Matt Halliday's car. We're full course yellow with 27 minutes to go. And look at this. Dan Clark tagged Catherine Legg's car, we're told, and Clark has damaged heavily the Ozjet Minardi Ticketmaster car number 4. So Speedy Dan's day will be over before the checkered flag. Left front corner of that car heavily damaged. When we come back, we'll catch you up on all the carnage.
Yeah, we're going to need to replace a few things.
One of the all-time greats, definitely a Hall of Famer, the Rocket. Roger Clemens was the honorary starter here. Told our Michelle Beisner earlier, looks like he's going to get himself ready to pitch one more time at the Bigs. He drove at a charity go-kart event here this weekend. A couple of the teams that are suitors for Clemens' services, the Red Sox and the Yanks, they square off tonight on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. They'll be watching with interest. Under caution because we've got race cars all over the place. Catherine Legg tagged the wall in the Sonny's entry, the Dale Coyne 11 car. Neil Johnny and she had gotten together in turn 2. And Clark, meantime, apparently knocked into the car of Legg as he was coming around under caution. He's trying to explain that to his team. So his difficult start to the season in car number 4. The Ticketmaster entry continues, and Speedy Dan unbuckling the helmet of the Hans. He'll have to go back to the drawing board for the next few weeks before we go racing again in Portland. And that car looks as though it's done for the day as well. So 3 cars down. Neil Johnny, he was 4th at the time. Have a look here.
It's just a case where his view was blocked, but this was way after the accident. I mean, you can go straight through the chicane. You don't, if there's an accident, you can drive wherever you need to. You don't have to drive quickly, but it did appear there was a car ahead of him, and that's a nightmare of a day for Dan Clark.
A little bit of brain fade, perhaps. All right, Michelle?
Guys, here with Kevin Kalkoven. Kevin, give me your impression of your rookie class so far this season.
Well, they're remarkable. I mean, whether it's Graham or my own guys like Neil and Tristan, they're really driving incredibly well. Of course, at this moment in time, I'd like to go kill somebody for taking out Neil, but he was having a fantastic race. We had a rookie mistake out of Tristan, but he's really recovered, and both of them have done well. But overall, whether you're talking Simon Pagenaud, whether you're talking Graham Rahal, this is one of the best rookie classes ever.
Looking forward to a great season. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Now, of course, Kevin was joking he wanted to kill someone, but the one who took out Neil Johnny was the driver he sponsors, Catherine Legg. So if I want to rethink that comment, that was his own driver.
Well, passions run high, of course, on pit road, and when you see cars in the wall and you're under caution and things happen that you think might be avoidable, it certainly does get everybody concerned, no question about it. Follow all the exciting Champ Car action all season long with Champ Car Mobile, brand new this year. Go to www.champcar.ws. Download a live leaderboard, wallpapers, and ringtones, all to your mobile phone. Standard data rates do apply. Great crowd on hand here at Jaguar Speedway at Reliant Park in Houston for the 3rd round of the Champ Car World Series season. 23 minutes of racing left. When we come back, we'll see if anybody has anything for Bourdais. Well, the Houston Texans' home is right here at Reliant Park, the training center across the street. The cheerleaders, potential cheerleaders, and tryouts this week NFL season starts not that far down the road. It is draft day next Saturday. The Texans and the other 31 NFL teams coverage all day long, all weekend long here on ESPN. Welcome back to Reliant Park in Houston with Jan Mika, Cybrick Benjamin, the Champ Car World Series. Third race of the 2007 season. It's the Champ Car Grand Prix of Houston. On pit road for us, Cameron Steele, Michelle Beisner, Bill Stevens. 23 minutes of racing to go. Not sure yet if we will see a green this time by. It does not appear so. Probably about 17, 18 laps of racing remaining here. Tristan Gomendy and Ryan Dial will be the top two cars on the restart, but yeah, it looks like both of those drivers may have to stop again.
For Gomendy, for sure, because it was 23 laps ago he pitted. But, you know, Jimmy Vasser last time left him out front. It was pretty effective.
Well, Jimmy Vasser right now talking to Tristan. Now, it's similar to what happened last week, but how much do you guys need of yellow to get all the way to the finish line?
We need about 3 more laps of yellow. It's like 30 minutes to go, so you never know what's going to happen.
I know he's run down a little bit, Jimmy. How's he feeling now in the car?
He's feeling pretty good. Right, lap times are, I think, good things out of him here.
We'll see what happens. Thanks, Jimmy.
Lights out on the safety car. Should get a restart this time. Tristan Gomendy will restart up front. Sebastian Bourdais second. Ryan Dial did make a pit stop now. Gomendy will stay out there. Graham Rahal next in line. Robert Dornbos, Alex Tagliani stayed out, it appears. We'll check on that. Safety car in, ready for a restart. Clock winding down here in Houston. In fourth position. There's the 7 car, Mario Dominguez. Now, he was involved in that tangle a little bit earlier. Bruno Junqueira right there. Justin Wilson. There's the 29 car. Roberto Moreno. Wilson on the outside. He wants to get around Tagliani if he can. That is 4th position.
And he's got a great drive. He's got himself in position. Wow, look at the concrete dust get kicked up as these guys go offline.
Bourdais in second. Rahal in third. Gomendy, the leader at the moment on pit strategy.
Most importantly, Tristan Gomendy, again, just like in Long Beach, when he has a chance to lead, and he's doing just a fantastic job. It was a great restart, and Sebastian, at least at first, had a tough time staying with him.
That is the pay-by-touch 22, French rookie Tristan Gomendy, moving to the PKV team at the final test of the winter. Laguna Seca back in March, what Champ Car calls spring training. Second place car, the McDonald's #1 of series champ Sebastian Bourdais. Third belongs to young Graham Rahal, the 18-year-old from Ohio. Bob's son in that Metazone too. Fourth spot belongs to Robert Dornbos. Another great run for the Ozjet 14 car for the Minardi team.
Just keep working his way forward, just kept pushing. And we have talked about in the beginning how Graham Rahal said he thought he had the second fastest car. Well, he has managed to get himself in the second best spot right now, assuming, well, Gomendy for sure is going to have to hit pit road. And just a great drive for Graham Rahal, putting this car where he thinks it needs to be.
Should be about 13 or 14 minutes left in the event here today, maybe 11 or 12 laps of racing. There is a problem with timing and scoring, and it has just come back with 16 and a half minutes to go. Not a moment too soon. Gomendy is the leader. Bourdais, Rahal, Dornbos, and Oriol Servia the top 5. So Servia now, despite that snafu on pit road, when his teammate Dominguez came in as he was trying to exit pit road, he's back up into 5th.
P1 is going to try to make it to the end without stopping.
That's going to be some phenomenal fuel mileage if he can pull that off. 16 minutes to go, and it's been 28 laps since he pitted. Now, some of those are caution, and the reason that they would tell Sebastian that is Sebastian has to think about the fact, does he want to ride behind Gomendy thinking he's going to pit, or is it the case where he's not going to pit and try and make it to the end? Then all of a sudden he is a true player.
Gomendy in the pay-by-touch car, enjoying his moments in the sunshine. He's the race leader on fuel strategy. Second spot belongs to the winner here a year ago, the 3-time series champion Bourdais in the McDonald's car. They are starting to open it up now over Rahal in the Metazone car #2. Today's Newman Haas Lanigan teammate, and Sebastian starting to draw a beat on his countryman.
Look at the difference. When the pits call you and say, hey, by the way, we don't think he's going to pit.
Good job, let's go.
But he's going to get after it quick.
He knows time is running out. 15 minutes of time on the clock. And we are green. We are green. in second. He has led a lot of laps here today, taking the lead early in the race on lap 14. Golmandi by 2 car lengths over Bourdais right now.
It's worth saying that Tristan Golmandi has been sick all week, that he barely could hang on to the car in the morning practice yesterday, has been in the medical center, and for a guy like that, under the kind of intense pressure now from his countryman Sebastian Bourdais, again, 2 races in a row, he's not making any mistakes.
He led 13 laps 1 week ago at Long Beach in a similar situation. Speedy Dan Clark behind the wall early, Michelle.
Dan, difficult track, difficult day. Tell me what happened out there.
Well, I think everyone saw what happened at the start. Everybody was going green, and we had to pit because we had problems, and that wasn't really the fault of the team either. So we went 2 laps down when everyone else went racing. So we just had to pull back from there, and the tires were really good. Bridgestone tires were good. The car was good, and I was holding behind 5th place car there in the middle of the pack. No one was even giving me blue flags anymore.
One car in trouble.
Then at the end there was an incident, and I came behind Pagino. He popped out, and Catherine's car was there, and there was no warning that her car was...
All right, difficult day. Thanks a lot.
Meantime, here's Bourdais going for the lead on Golmandi. And he doesn't have room.
Not yet.
We saw Justin Wilson had spun the CDW car there a moment ago. Wilson was 10th. Lost some track position with 13.5 minutes to go.
I still don't think that Tristan can make it to the end, but he's making it very interesting. It's good stuff.
Bill Stevens.
Down here with Mark Johnson, the general manager of PKV Racing. For the 2nd race in a row, Tristan inherits the lead. But the big question, can he hang on to it till the end?
Well, Sebastian just tried to put a wheel in on him there, and he held his ground. Unfortunately, we're a little different fuel strategy than they are right now. We've got to stop one more time. So you get him home, we'll be back in the pits again.
With Bourdais missed on that pass, the guys down here looked at each other, and their eyes began to get really wide. Cameron?
Well, they're saying down here in Sebastian Bourdais' pit that there is an outside shot that Tristan could make it all the way, but he does need quite a bit of caution help. So following up with what Bill said there, on the flip side, Sebastian is good to go, has no conservation needs, and he can go all the way, pedal to the metal, to the finish.
On board Ray Hall, the Metazone car.
And when Mark Johnson says we're on a different pit strategy, we are going to pit, I mean, if they thought they could make it, he would play it cagey and say, well, we're not sure if we can make it. I mean, he was definitive. We do have to stop again, which would make sense. So I'm not sure where Newman Haas got the information and just lit the fire under Sebastian, but I don't think it was accurate.
All right, let's check in one more time on today's Mazda Virtual Pit Stop, where you try to make the right call. Your last chance to vote on today's question: who is best handling the physical demands of this tough track in Houston? Sebastian Bourdais, Justin Wilson, or Alex Tagliani? To vote, text A, B, or C to 55333. Each entry costs 50 cents. It's available on most cell phone carriers.
Now, I think that Justin Wilson, although he's leading, he has definitely had the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
He's had a really, really tough day, and so we'll find out when we see him after the race whether he handled it or not. But certainly, the guy with the biggest challenge today, physically and mentally, probably is, in fact, as the poll says, Justin Wilson.
11.5 minutes of racing to go here around Reliant Park in Houston. The Camp Car World Series. We'll find out all these answers. Here in Houston on Friday afternoon, 25 children and their parents from the local Ronald McDonald House got a chance to visit with Champ Car star Ryan Dial, his team from Pacific Coast Motorsports. They had lunch with Ryan and his team at the PCM Hospitality Unit in the paddock. They got a special up-close and personal tour inside the garage area of the PCM paddock. They got a look at the race cars as well. Ryan Dial doing a nice job here, 9th at the moment in the ironclad car number 28. Less than 10 minutes to go. In fact, closing in on 9 minutes of racing. Should be time for about 9 laps to go. Tristan Golmandi continues to run up front. Sebastian Bourdais, though, less than a second behind, waiting for Golmandi to have to make a stop.
And the main thing is I'm pretty sure by now he's got the word, because Newman Haas is going to listen to the other teams and to our broadcast, and when they heard Mark Johnson say they for sure have to stop, there's no question, you can just tell by the attitude of the car for Sebastian Bourdais. He's backed off, and now he's got protection. He's got his 18-year-old teammate who predicted that he had the second fastest car, has done exactly that, and we're looking at a potential Newman Haas Lanigan 1-2 here, and he won't be worried about Graham behind him. He'll think, that's the perfect guy I want behind me.
Well, Robert Dornbos is in position here to perhaps get on the podium for the Minardi team in the Ozjet 14 car. It's been a really good run today for Dornbos. We've been very impressed with him, Jan, as we visited with him over the last many weeks. Really knows how to do the job here. I don't think there's any question about that. Next in line is Servia, then Simone Pagenaud, who's battled back from a lot of difficulty today. There's Dornbos in that Ozjet car.
Said that it's still shocking to him, the American-style racing, and this is true American-style racing with the big bumps here in Houston. Said it takes a lot of getting used to after racing in Europe.
Down here with Michael Cannon, the team leader for Robert Dornbos. What do you have to do to get him to a podium finish? You're so close.
We're not absolutely sure where Gomendy is on fuel. Our calculations say he's going to be a couple laps short, which is pretty sad. But we're pleased to get him all the way up from 13th in qualifying up to 3rd spot. So we're looking forward to a podium.
Guys, Robert stayed out of trouble, stayed clean. They had good pit stops, and that's why he's in the position he's in right now.
Staying clean in Houston is one of the main ingredients to getting to the front.
Look here at Oriol Servia, the Indeck car, the Forsyth number 3. Servia ran second earlier. And that near miss on pit road during their last round of stops when he was trying to leave. Took a little longer to put fuel in the car than they had thought. His teammate Mario Dominguez had been called in at the exact moment, so Oriol was held while Dominguez got the 7 car to a stop. They just avoided contact on pit road. Oriol Servia driving in relief of the injured Paul Tracy. Heard a week ago at Long Beach, but you've heard us say that PT expects to be back at Portland second week of June, as rehab progressing a lot more quickly than they originally had thought possible.
You know, you have to think, as we watch Graham, we've talked about that he hasn't even graduated. Sure enough, Tristan Gomendy has hit the pit road, but look how close he is now to his teammate. At 18 years old, you're following a 3-time champion, your teammate, and you've got a shot.
Oh, he's out of fuel. They pushed it a little too far. He's trying to coast to the pit stall. That car is out of fire. So the PKV team rolled the dice. He won't make it to pit road. That car will stop on the racetrack before he even gets to the entrance to pit road. That may cause a full course yellow. We'll see. He's off the racing line, Jan.
I would say they won't. They'll get somebody to him and get him out of the way. That's not at an exit of a corner. Let's say that that's going to be just a local yellow. And these 3 cars that are in podium positions right now, what I was leading at is that just think about the fact that a kid is 18 years old, hasn't graduated from high school, and he's riding here in Champ Car in his first year, pushing his teammate, Sebastian Bourdais, which is, he's the man of Champ Car, obviously, and that has got to make him feel just great.
Well, the expectations for Graham Rahal very high. Of course, the young American hope at 18. 5 wins last year in the Champ Car Atlantic Championship. A couple of DNFs really cost him the championship there, as he runs second in front of Robert Dornbos.
No mistakes.
Yeah, like, what were you doing when you were 18? I mean,
I was trying to figure out where to go to college when I was 18.
I mean, I was racing, but, you know, it was the early stages. He's at the top level.
Yeah.
He's at the top level and obviously on the top of his game.
I was trying to figure out if I had a date for Saturday night. He brings his girlfriend to Houston in lieu of going to the prom.
Yeah, which didn't sound like a very good deal until the fact that now he's got a chance to win this thing.
And Tristan Gomendy, who was the leader, has to unbuckle. He is done. They will not be able to get him to pit road with less than 5 minutes to go, Bill.
Jimmy Vasser made the call on the fuel. You got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him, huh?
Well, we actually thought we were going to be able to make it to lap 88, so he tells us we weren't picking up all the fuel that we have in the tank. You know, if we would have had 1 yellow for 2 laps, we would have been good, you know, with this amount of time, and if we would have picked up the fuel. But it's unfortunate, but you got to take a chance. We were going to be about 10th, 11th anyway.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Worth a gamble there because another yellow might have happened.
Well, I don't think it was worth a gamble to leave him out front to run, but when you know you for sure are going to have to stop, and like Jimmy said, they did. They actually pulled him in a lap earlier to be sure everything was okay, but every once in a while, it doesn't pick up everything that's in the car.
Let's get back on board with Rahal in the Metazone entry. Coming up on 3:45. Time for maybe 4 more laps. We'll see.
Now, interesting, we heard on his onboard radio, we heard them say, push Seb. Of course, they're teammates, but those 2 teams are fiercely competitive.
Sure.
They all work together, but they would love to go put some pressure on Sebastian. They're not calling him and saying, take it easy.
No teamwork.
No, our team guys up there, just protect him. They say, go after him.
Yeah. Robert Dornbos is third. In the Ozjet 14, Oriol Servia now climbs to fourth. The Forsyth Index 3 car. Lapping by one of the slower machines. That's Halliday on the 42 below Conquest entry. He stays out of the racing line to give the leaders time to go through.
You know, Dornbos is pretty close to Rahal, and Rahal's starting to get a little bit of lockup.
Now, the Houston Metro system runs pretty close to here. I'm wondering if Tristan Gomondi might have wanted to buy a ticket and ride back. He was a long hike from pit road. I thought he was at pit in. He had a long way to go to get back to the paddock area. On board Rahal. Lap count and time remaining, top of your screen.
Almost 3 Gs through that section. That's the highest G-force corner on the track. Most of them are second gear, around 60 miles an hour. And here's some wheel spin coming off the corners.
As the ironclad 28 car, Ryan Dial. Got a quick glimpse of Dial. Up in 8th. Good run for that first-year team, Pacific Coast Motorsports.
And no fuel saving now. If you were listening earlier for Graham, he's on the button.
But the amazing thing to me is the Newman-Haas-Lanigan team dominant here again, it appears, as we get close to the checkered flag. Bourdais has been the dominant player today. They've not burned up much of their Cosworth power to pass at all. Both drivers have 47 seconds of the 60 left.
Again, it's confidence. If your car's fast, what do you need it for?
Yeah.
I mean, Bourdais actually made a pass for the lead and didn't even press the button.
Hooked up here for the second consecutive season. Now, a lot of talk, of course, after the opener at Las Vegas that Bourdais, as you said, Jan, made a very uncharacteristic series of mistakes. Had maybe his worst day in the Champ Car World Series since he came here several years ago. The 3-time champion, though, now seems to be back to form, no question.
Yes, which is scary for everyone else. But Robert Dornbos definitely is a guy.
Robert, let's say 2 laps for me. 2 laps.
And 2 to go.
Michael Cannon talking to him, and that is kind of the key relationship, is when your engineer and the driver click. And of course, Michael Cannon, having done just amazing things last year with A.J. Allmendinger, is doing the same thing with Robert Dornbos.
Allmendinger won 5 races on the season, 4 in a row at one point for the Forsyth team, with Michael Cannon calling the shots. And Cannon put the 7 car for the Forsyth team on the pole here with Mario Dominguez a year ago. So he and Dornbos may well prove to be a potent combination before the season is over. Dornbos appears to be headed for the podium here. He was second at Las Vegas. It would be his second podium in 3 tries.
The thing about Dornbos is that this is completely foreign to him. These kind of bumps, and I mean, he lives in Monaco, so he lives at one of the greatest street circuits of all time. But we're going to be going to road courses. You get to a place like Portland, and all of a sudden, that's going to be his cup of tea.
1 lap to go. Indication from the flag stand.
1 lap to go.
Teams telling their drivers on the radios. 1 to go from J.D. Wilbur, the official starter of the Champ Car World Series. Bridgestone running order, top of your screen. Series gets about a 6-week break before we go race in Portland and then Cleveland in the month of June.
Oh, and he's on the button. He didn't want to finish the race without it. Sure, that's Sebastian Bourdais. Saw the flashing light at the back. Figured, well, I don't want the team to tell me that I left something on the table. So he's going ahead and using the last of his Cosworth power to pass.
Bourdais, the winner here in the inaugural race around Reliant Park 1 year ago, was a night race last year. He's going to double up here in 2007. He'll be 2 for 3 on the season. Now, Power was the championship leader coming in here, but Power struggling today. He will finish, it appears, 11th. This may put Bourdais in the lead, and Sebastian Bourdais is your winner. The Champ Car Grand Prix of Houston. Little trash talk about the ruling that put Power back on the pole after the penalty to Bourdais. Rahal runs second. Youngest podium finisher ever in Champ Car. As Rahal gets to the top 3 for the first time in his Champ Car career, running second today here in Houston. Cameron Steele.
Well, I've caught up with Craig Hampson, and well, Craig got dinged before the race started. I know you guys were a little frustrated with that, but it proved what the best car was today.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very fast all weekend, and Sebastian's been really quick, and honestly, Graham's had a really good car too. Just a lot of little things again going wrong, but today, even with the things that went wrong, it all worked out. We proved we had the quickest cars. I'm really pleased the team got a 1-2. It's been over a year since we had one of those. I think we demonstrated how good a driver Graham is, and Sebastian put his stamp on this again, and the points chase is tight again. So this is a good day.
Kenny Seawick told me you throw a little adversity at the team and we can overcome, and it seems you did just that.
Well, the Newman-Haas-Lanigan team works harder than anybody else out there. They put in the hours, and I think we deserve this one.
There you have it from Craig Hampson.
ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car World Series, the Grand Prix of Houston, brought to you today by our friends at Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. And by CDW, the right technology, right away. 2 consecutive wins here in Houston, 2 consecutive wins in 2007 for Sebastian Bourdais in victory lane with Cameron Steele.
Well, you can hear the celebration down here from the Newman-Haas-Lanigan team. Everybody very excited. Of course, Sebastian Bourdais going back-to-back wins. And Sebastian, you're frustrated leading into the race over to the decision, but you said you would prove it on the racetrack, and you did just that.
Yeah, but the Magnus car was the class of the field this weekend, and it was really a shame what happened yesterday, but it's behind us, and the guys did a great job. It was a tough race. We struggled really hard during the race. I had a few issues in the car, but we made it stick, and it's all to their credit. They worked really hard, and we deserve it.
And at the beginning, the crosscut on the chicane, I mean, there just wasn't anywhere to go, and were you worried?
Yeah, I mean, I took a good start. I was side by side with Will, and there was just nowhere to go. And then after that, I looked in the mirror, and Justin was right in his rear wing, so there was nowhere for me to change position. So, you know, I kept going.
Was there any time there at the end when you thought that Tristan may have enough fuel to go all the way?
I was just worried that there was going to be another yellow, but, you know, other than that, it was a pretty cool race for us.
Great work.
Thanks.
2 in a row for Sebastian Bourdais. 2 in a row in Houston, 2 in a row in 2007. So Bourdais, the dominant player today, his 25th career win. Rahal runs second. Dornbos gets to the podium. Servia and Pagano, the rest of the top 5. Mario Dominguez with a nice run to 6th, I think, Jan.
Yes, he definitely had an up-and-down day, but brought it home in the top 6.
Roger Karras 7th, then Dial, Tagliani, Wilson, Power, and Moreno. And the final 5 finishers today look like this. Tristan Gomendy, who ran out of fuel trying to get to the finish with the lead. Halliday, Johnny had problems, Catherine Legg, and Dan Clark. Great run to 2nd as well for Bourdais' teammate, Bill.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the world's fastest high school senior, Graham Rahal, getting congratulations from his team owner, Carl Haas. Well, was this worth missing the prom for?
Yeah, I was happy I missed the prom. You know, I'm happy to be here, and it's a great result for these guys. The entire MetaZone team has worked so hard over the past few weeks after Las Vegas. It was a very disappointing weekend, and finally we're building ourselves back up, and we're finally where we belong.
And this is the first race this year that your dad, Bobby Rahal, hasn't been here.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like when he's not here, I've had my first ever professional win and this and that, so maybe he just can't come anymore.
Tell us about the power to pass issue during the race. That was a little skittish, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any problems, but Oriole did in front of me, and I almost collected him, but it worked out okay. I mean, he resolved the issue quick enough, so no problem.
Nice going, young man.
Thank you.
Go to Cameron.
All right, Bill. Well, the good news is he'll be able to walk with his class in just a couple weeks when he graduates. But speaking of graduating quickly, Robert Dornbos and Paul Stoddard here, 3rd place, your 2nd podium of the season so quickly. Robert, this was a tough place to get accustomed to, wasn't it?
P13, ending up P3. It's amazing. We really messed up yesterday in qualifying, and we totally redeemed ourselves today. This is what I love doing. This is why I came to the States. Racing every lap was like qualifying. I was pushing. And Mike, my engineer, and Rob, strategy guy, did an amazing job. And they said, continue like this, and you know, we'll pass the guys in front. And that's actually exactly what happened. So.
He talks about his engineer, Michael Cannon. 5 wins last year. He's looking for 1 this year. I'm going to throw it directly over to Michelle Beisner.
All right, here with Oriole Servia, who had an impressive 2 weeks. You finished in the top 5 in your first 2 races and under some pretty special circumstances. Tell us about your day.
Yeah, I mean, it's great result. You know, some good points, but it's just a little disappointed because we really had a shot. I think
podium for sure, and maybe something for Sebastian. But we had just bad luck when we came into the pits and it was time to go out. Mario was just coming in, so we had to wait. I mean, not his fault or our fault. Just, you know, it didn't happen for us, and we had to wait. But anyway, just, you know, as I said, good points, good weekend, and you know, just happy to be there one more weekend with Forsyth.
Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Back to you.
Oriol Servia, fourth here today in the streets of Houston. Well, the Rush Trans Rookie of the Year prize, one of the big honors that will all 8 Champ Car rookie drivers will be gunning for all season long. Graham Rahal took a giant step today toward claiming those season-long honors by getting to second youngest ever podium winner in the Champ Car World Series at age 18. Robert Dornbos, also a rookie, on the podium, so 2 of 3 spots in the top 3 go to rookie drivers. Simone Pagenaud had a very up-and-down day, as Jan referenced earlier. He ends up 5th today. He, of course, one of the rookie contenders as well. Pagenaud was 16th at 1 point. So a great run for Pagenaud in the Team Australia Aussie Vineyards car. A reminder that the Champ Car World Series continues with round 4, Sunday, June 10th, 4 o'clock Eastern on ABC Sports with the Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Portland presented by Joe's. It was a wild one here today, but Sebastian Bourdais staked his claim to the streets around Reliant Park. Jackflow Speedway belongs to Bourdais one more time. Rian Beekes, Cameron Steele, Bill Stevens, and Michelle Beisner. I'm Rick Benjamin. Once again, the winner of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Houston is Sebastian Bourdais. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage today. We'll say so long for now from Houston, Texas. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up next, it's the Contender Challenge presented by Old Spice as the United States faces the United Kingdom from Newcastle, England.